All right, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Last Week Today Live. With me, Philtastic Phil, MT is here, and Mrs. Tastic is here as well. So we're just waiting while some more people jump in here. Good morning, Mr. Doug. Good morning. How are you, sir? Doug Bratton, by the way, writer of Isolation, will be having a signing at Dewey's in Dover, New Jersey next week between 12 and 3. Doug with artist Delia Gunderson, again, will be signing books at Dewey's. So either bring some of your copies of Isolation and go get signed. And of course, say hi to Doug and Delia. I think Dewey's may have some on hand to sell if you don't have them for some reason. But I would say if you don't have it, get it now. So just in case Dewey sells out. And again, that's from 12 to 3 in Dover, New Jersey. It's at the Joe Kubert School. Good morning, Mr. Durs. How are you, sir? Sorry, I lost my feed for a second there. Chad is playing with our feed. I know the Gibbon interrupts Reggie's feed all the time. We have Chad just trying to break in constantly. Hey, Trev, what's going on? Durs, folding laundry with Durs. I think we need a live feed of that. Talking comics, folding laundry. Hey, Brian. Yep, main event is here, reminding everybody Chad is around. Chad is going to return soon. There's talks. Why don't we say that? Chats, at the very least. And I have my feed playing on the TV at the same time, so the little guy is looking between me and looking at the TV and just looking very confused. It's like, where's my dad? So we got, I think, a smattering of a little bit of everything today. I have books I've read. Oh yeah, and that's the first step. That's the gateway drug into streaming. There's lights in a tripod. I kind of have a light. I got a little kind of tripod mic ring light set up from Costco, and it's been working out a little bit. But truth be told, I'd love to upgrade just to a desktop or a laptop so that I can show on-screen graphics and whatnot. But budget's not there yet. That's just how it is. Chad for president? I don't know, Trev. I don't know. We might all be in trouble if that's the case. Not to get political, of course. Yeah, and I think on-screen kind of images and pictures and whatnot would have been great to have this past Thursday when we did our countdown for our 7-minute stories episode. It's a new live show I just started. Matt Woods was my first guest. I've been in talk with other people to come on as guests as well, but nothing solid yet. We're basically, I'll have a different guest each week, and you don't have to have a YouTube channel. You could just, as long as you have a phone, pretty much we can do it. A phone, or I guess you could say a webcam too. Basically, you're going to tell me your collecting story in 7 minutes. And the whole episode itself is not just 7 minutes long because we do a little bit of talking and whatnot. But that being said, come on in. You have a 7-minute challenge to talk about your collecting history. And if you're able to do it, I will inscribe your name on what I call the 7-minute Wall of Fame, which I have not unveiled yet. We'll do that soon. Right, buddy? Doug is heading out. Tell Delia we all said hello. Looking forward to seeing you next week. And why don't we just jump right into it here? So I'm going to start with, I'll say a pickup because I only had a small pickup last week. I had to, last Sunday, do a little bit of a trip to another LCS I don't typically go to. I went to Zap Comics because, as I've talked about here, I had tickets for ZapCon for 2020. I wanted to see Dan Slott and Tyler Kirkham, if you remember. We had the early bird tickets. And then, COVID happened. So ZapCon was canceled for 2020, canceled for 2021. They're having their big return this year. They're having it next week. But they're not, number one, they're not having Dan Slott or Tyler Kirkham, and I did ask. And number two, especially with the little guy, I don't want to be in big crowded areas. So I went and returned my tickets. And while I was there, I got my money back. But while I was there were a couple pickups I did here. The first, nothing big, variants issue 2. I enjoyed issue 1, Phil Noto artwork. My LCS ran out of it, so I grabbed this one. Remember, I wanted you to look at the first one. My wife is to my right, of course. And the second one, and I didn't get it for this price because my wife's looking at the price tag already. This is, I'm filling in a Uncanny X-Men run. I had not seen this one before. Uncanny X-Men, this is number 113. Very cool cover, and it's a pretty high grade, it looks like, too. They have 7.5 written on the back, but I think it, well, actually, that's probably, looking at the yellow pages, that's probably pretty much it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe small spine ticks here. But I'm working on a run, so if I see something like this and the price is right, I've been grabbing it. So that's what I picked up this week. I'm still working through, of course, my reading selections from last week that I showed, my pickups from last week, because I had a couple things coming at once. So, oh, hey, Cole, how's it going? So I will go through shortly the books that I read this week, and I'll give you the warning, they are all X-Men related. Yes, madam, I'm big into X-Men, very much. That's been my favorite. So before we do that, we're going to have a little off-camera discussion with my wife here. You'll hear her, but she's not ready to come on yet, and that's perfectly fine. She'll come on when she wants to. And the little guy, I'm sure, will chime in too if he wants. So not a whole lot of, I'm trying to think. There wasn't a whole lot of news I could think of this particular week as far as comics news goes. But we are, I should say, we have been, hey, Master, where the first time I joined, I didn't hear any sound. Do you hear it now, Cole? Cole, if you don't hear me, let me know. Madam says yay. She's ready to see you make your screen debut. My wife is giggling. That's always a good thing. It's a good giggle. So why don't we talk about She-Hulk? You know, my wife and I have watched all of the Disney Plus shows. Yeah, she's seen most of the Marvel films now. I think the only film you haven't seen, the only MCU film, I should say, you haven't seen has been Thor: Dark of the World. And neither of us have seen the new Thor movie yet. We're waiting. I think that's coming on next week on Disney. And the little guy is just in another world. That's okay. Here, stay. Have a great day. You too, Cole. Take care, man. And thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. And then, I mean, we're not talking necessarily about like the pre-MCU Marvel films. Like, I know that she's seen the first X-Men, but you didn't like it, you said, right?
No.
You didn't like it. And you saw Days of the Future Past, remember,
That
with
was
me.
okay.
I love Days of the Future Past. You saw Apocalypse, you saw Phoenix.
Apocalypse I liked, Phoenix I liked.
Okay. You saw Daredevil.
Yeah.
I know you like that one. Trying to think. Other Fantastic Four films, not the newest one, the one with Jessica Alba. Have you seen those?
I don't think so.
That's probably for the best, to be honest with you. They're not very good. And I know you saw the first Hulk with not Lou Ferrigno, sorry, Eric Bana.
Yep.
You didn't see Incredible Hulk though with
No.
Ed Norton, not to be confused with Jim Norton from the comedian. Yeah, Days of Future Past is tied for my favorite. X2 is my all-time favorite of the X-Men movies. She hasn't seen that yet, and she also saw Logan. If you could be any X-Men character, which one would you be? Which one would you and Mrs. Philtastic choose? Honey, here's a little point of contention, I guess you could say, with us. My wife does not like X-Men.
No, I don't.
She's seen the films that she's seen. She's liked more of them. Have you seen the Road Cut? No, not yet, Nate. I just refuse to buy it a second time. You know, I figure maybe if they stream it or something, one day I'll catch it, but I don't know. See, the X-Men, it's kind of tough if I would be any of the X-Men because none of them kind of like, none of them have a pretty easy go with things, I guess you could say. Is CGC putting out exclusive comics now and grading its own comics? I need to catch up. I heard something about that, but I don't know too much about it. I think I saw something for the Death of Superman 30th anniversary, but I haven't looked into it yet at all. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. So I don't know that I would pick any of the X-Men. I don't know, honey. What would you pick? Because I know you don't really have a huge knowledge base for the X-Men either. Mm-hmm. It seems to me you know Wolverine because you know me.
Right.
Let me see. Do you know Cyclops?
Yeah.
Okay. Colossus.
Yes.
Okay. Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler, yeah.
You like Nightcrawler? Mm-hmm. Okay. Trying to think who else. I'm gonna try to let's see. This has now turned into Stump My Wife. Banshee.
I know the name. I can't think of it.
He was kind of in First Class. The guy who screams loud.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
Bishop.
I don't remember.
Okay. Cable.
Yep.
Young Cable.
Mm.
Okay. It's the same guy, but younger, pretty much. Deadpool, I know that. We like Deadpool.
Is Nightcrawler the one that was traveling fast? Remember?
No, he's the guy who teleports.
Thinking.
Quicksilver.
No. The one that we saw in the movie. He went in.
Quicksilver.
There was a fire.
Yes.
That was not Quicksilver.
That was Quicksilver. He's Magneto's son, yes. And remember he was Scarlet Witch's brother in the MCU? And they did a little tease on WandaVision.
That's Quicksilver?
That's Quicksilver,
Quicksilver
honey.
is the guy who's on a surfboard?
No, that's Silver Surfer.
Oh, okay, never mind.
And I think we'll end the Stump My Wife there. Quicksilver and Silver Surfer.
They're pretty
so I don't know that we're equipped to answer that question.
Yeah, I'm not really.
Madam, I can tell you she doesn't like magic.
No. Even
though I think if she knew the character, she would like it. Do you like Psylocke?
He's all right.
No, not Cyclops. Psylocke.
Oh, no, I don't know.
That's the Olivia Munn played her in the Apocalypse movie. Okay, I thought you knew that one. Death of Superman will have its own CGC variant, but only because that book is on pace to break the record for the most variants. Yeah, I agree. So anyway, going back. So we've watched 3 episodes of She-Hulk. Mm-hmm. We both really enjoy the show. I think it's very, very funny. Little guy hasn't really watched any, but he wanted to chime in. What are your thoughts on She-Hulk so far, honey?
I love it. I enjoy every episode. And I'm a little biased because it's kind of like in the legal field that she's in. Mm-hmm. I like that aspect of it. And I think it's entertaining with the comedy inserts they have. I love it overall. Yeah,
I mean, she said a legal bias. I've said in the past, in case you're unaware, although my wife's job is a mommy right now, she is a paralegal. So there's a little bit of that law thing. Now, I was thinking about this while we were watching it. The relationship that Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, has with her paralegal, in your experience, is that a true paralegal lawyer relationship?
Pretty much.
Really?
Real. Yeah, depends on the law firm.
I was going to say, I don't think I've seen, I've never heard. Now, my wife, neither of us are drinkers really. My wife, even less than me. But I've never heard of you like, oh yeah, I'm going out for drinks with the lawyer.
Yeah, depends on, again, the law firm.
I remember you went like for fish and chips one day. I think that was it.
Yeah.
She-Hulk has been great. The only people that are hating it clearly have never read any of the comics because of how mature and off the wall the book can get. I'll say this, Irene, Mrs. Tastic, have you, I know the answer to this, but this is to tell everybody, have you read any She-Hulk comics?
Yes.
Here and there, yeah. My wife has not read the Dan Slott or the John Byrne run or the Peter David run, but she read a little bit of, I can't think of the writer's name. That's okay, buddy. I can't think of the writer's name. She read a little bit of the post-Civil War II She-Hulk, which admittingly was a much different take on She-Hulk, and it was a different type of story. It was somebody overcoming a massive loss. You did read, did you read the 2 issues or the first issue?
The first issue.
She read the first issue of the new series. What were your thoughts on that?
I liked it. I loved it.
Right, and it's much lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different than the show, though.
Well, we don't know yet. They're not quite there
Well,
yet.
from what I've seen so far.
Yeah. So you really have to go back to the Dan Slott run.
Yeah.
I think you will probably not read it because you won't like the covers.
Probably not.
Mike Mayhew. Oh, no, not Mike Mayhew. Greg Horn did the covers. I don't have original art, nothing like Mr. Master, like Master Blaster has. But I do have some prints. And the last time I went to New York Comic Con, I came back with a whole bunch of prints. And then we're talking, this is what I say, like 2009 or so.
Something like that.
Yeah. And one of them I got was Greg Horn, Black Canary, and Green Arrow. I was really liking Green Arrow and Black Canary at the time. I've had a couple of them framed and hanging in my office downstairs. You've seen that in some of my videos. You might notice though that's not the of all the things that are framed, that one is not hanging up because my wife hates it because she doesn't like how Black Canary appears. So that's why I'm saying I don't think you would like the She-Hulk covers for that particular run because they are very cheesecakey.
Yeah.
But it's a great run and it's pretty hilarious.
Is there anything you dislike about the She-Hulk show?
Well, I was gonna ask you. I mean, the first episode I told you I thought the pacing was a little strange.
I like that still. It gives you a background. You know?
I still think the CGI at times is a little iffy.
Yeah.
But all in all, I like the levity. I think it's hilarious. This episode, I have to say, I particularly liked the most.
I didn't like it the most.
Well, I'll tell you why. You see, there's a lot of things. Yeah, me too, Durs. I hope the CGI gets better, CGC. I hope they both get better, to be honest with you. But at the very beginning, when they were showing that montage of news articles and YouTube videos, and there was one I remember saying, like, when can we cancel She-Hulk? Or how can we cancel She-Hulk? And it was like, you know what? This is kind of a different type of fourth wall break because it's like the people who were review bombing it before it ever came out. Oh my God, it's the worst thing and this is terrible. It almost sounds like a response to those review bombs. And I mean, I got to tell you, I'm not somebody who purposely goes and looks for any kind of politically divisive comics or anything like that, nor do I get politically decisive. Did I say it right? I don't know. I haven't eaten yet, and I haven't had coffee yet. It's just been this right now and a banana. But I thought that was handled great. And I can't wait to see. I don't know what the kind of comments have been from like the Rand Shriver kind of crew, that type of, you know, everything Marvel and DC does is terrible and that both companies are ending. But I'd be kind of interested in seeing their kind of take on that. I'll be honest with you, even like the little, and this is, I guess, a spoiler if you haven't watched the episode yet, the little twerk at the end, I thought was pretty funny, and I thought it fit the whole thing. So what is it that you don't like about the show?
Is that called the fourth wall?
The fourth wall break is when she turns and starts talking to the camera.
Yeah.
My wife hates that.
I feel like at that point, it's just too corny for me, and it takes me out of it.
See, I disagree. I feel like when there's a fourth wall break, it takes you into it.
Yeah, it feels like a home video to me at first. Like, I don't like that at all.
But do you hate that in general?
Yeah,
anytime
with anything.
So you didn't like it with Deadpool?
Correct.
What about even like a Ferris Bueller?
I was just going to say, nope, I don't like that either. I like the movie. Wow. I didn't like that aspect of it. It just takes you out of it because you know it's about them. Why even turn to the camera?
See, but a lot of the classic She-Hulk stuff, and this is kind of what I feel is a little hypocritical. The people saying, "I love the She-Hulk, I love the She-Hulk stories, but I hate the show, and it's to this or to that." I mean, the John Byrne covers were all about breaking the fourth wall. That's just kind of, to me, that's part of the whole thing. Madam has a question. What about this one might be tough because she doesn't like horror, even though that wasn't scary. That was more frustrating. What about Blair Witch?
Same.
Yeah. Same thing. I knew that wasn't going to go for it. let's see here. She always talks to the readers in the books. That's what's coming. This is coming from. This is part of the She-Hulk run, though. Yeah, and I mean, it's not impossible, I guess, to not like the fourth wall break, but like the character. And that's kind of where my wife is. I mean, she's kind of demonstrated with a couple movies and shows and whatnot. Is Megan the Stallion? See, I'm too old. That's why I keep saying three. Is Megan the Stallion officially in the MCU now? I think so. I hope Daredevil twerks just to make people cry. We all do. Oh yeah, he's going to be on soon. And I did like how she poked fun at that too. She's like, yeah, this is not going to be one of those big cameos every shows, even though it has been, and I guess it will be, especially have Daredevil coming on. But yeah, I mean, we're both enjoying it. Now, let me ask you, here's the big one. Just to give people a roadmap of your MCU TV show experience. I know, well, we'll say this. I'll give you a show. You tell people, no explanation, if you liked it or not. I know the answer already, but just to give you guys kind of a map here. Okay, Ms. Marvel.
I liked it.
Okay. Loki.
Did not like it.
Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Did not like it.
Okay. Let me see. Oh, Moon Knight.
Liked it.
Okay, and WandaVision.
Liked it.
Now, WandaVision, if I'm not mistaken,
Extremely liked it.
WandaVision has been your favorite?
Yeah.
Is it still your favorite considering She-Hulk?
I knew you were gonna ask that. I think they're two separate shows. It's like comparing apples to oranges. They're really different from one another.
So, is WandaVision still your favorite then?
It's.
She's crumbling under the pressure.
I would think it's a tie.
That's huge. You don't know how huge that is. But I guess we're going to have to see how the show unfolds.
Yeah.
And go from there. So I will go through now what I read this week. Okay. And this, Madam, it was kind of funny you asked that X-Men question because I thought I heard a truck. This is an all X-Men week as far as reading comics goes. And I kind of, one of my stupid little idiosyncrasies when I read books, I kind of like to go with a theme. So I started going a little bit more retro and then transitioned into current day and into a little bit of Judgment Day. So you'll see what I mean. I started with X-Men Legends #1. This was the Roy Thomas return to the X-Men. This story takes place immediately after Hulk 181. I have to say, I know that there's a lot of criticism when you look at these retro books, and the next book I show you is going to have that same one because people feel, well, it's an older style. But I would argue that that's the point. And in that, even in that line, it's just because it's a retro style doesn't mean it's good, I guess you could say. I could tell you, for example, the X-Men Forever series, the X-Men 92 series. The X-Men 92 limited series during Secret War was fine. I didn't care for the ongoing, and I didn't care for the ongoing of the X-Men Legends, the Chris Claremont return. And to be honest with you, that's why I've kind of not picked up Gambit issue #1, just the Peach Momoko cover, which I have not read yet. I will read probably for next week. But this, I have to tell you, I really enjoyed. It's kind of great to put that connective tissue between Hulk 181 and then when Wolverine and Giant Size X-Men. And yeah, I mean, they have you're seeing a very, I don't want to say inexperienced Wolverine, but it's not the Wolverine that we're used to. He's not really brooding. He's just kind of like a knockaround guy at that point. And I even had to kind of look up, I can't even remember the guy's name now. His kind of forced teammate in that, the guy made of diamonds. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and I'm looking forward to reading the second one. I thought it was going to just be a one-shot. I didn't know it was going to be a series. Maybe it's just a limited series. Second, this is the conclusion to Wolverine Patch. Larry Hama era Wolverine is my favorite. Peach Momoko or Scotty Young, which you prefer? Peach Momoko. Scotty Young, I respect there are very few Scotty Young works I personally like. It's just not my thing. Larry Hama era Wolverine has been my favorite. That's when I started reading Wolverine. This is a great, great limited series, and it came with a lot of the same criticism that people had, that it felt too retro. I have to say, I think it's really well done. They kind of capture the feel of the kind of Cold War era and what it was going on there. If anything, I kind of feel like Shield was just there. And I was kind of bummed at the end. I'm not going to give anything away to see Wolverine put in the spot where he is. But I think it would be really cool now that Krakoa is going around, and this has 3 Russian mutants in it, to see those Russian mutants reappear, maybe on Krakoa. Yeah, I enjoyed that book. It was a great series. Next is a mix of retro and new. This is New Mutants number 28. Now this storyline, you saw this.
The movie? No.
There was a movie. It was terrible. Remember?
Yeah. I was going to say.
New Mutants 28. I've been loving the New Mutants series since Vita Ayala took over the writing duties. Rod Rice does amazing artwork on it as well. This was the conclusion to, I think it was about a 3-issue arc where Magic was giving up her rule of Limbo and giving it to the Goblin Queen, who's kind of an ally at this point. It's kind of shaky a little bit. And I say it like that because I think that I haven't been reading Spider-Man, so if you're in the chat and you have been, help me out here. But I think that they're kind of going to have a big crossover with Goblin Queen and Chasm, the Ben Reilly Spider-Man who's a villain now. But yeah, this is the conclusion to that. I really like that they purposely blend artwork from the older stories. I don't think it's necessarily old artwork. I think they just got the older artist, that was Jan Duursema, and just kind of blend it with the new, and they're in this kind of weird fairy tale angle. Great book, great story. It was a great ending, and this was also the debut of Magic's new armor or new outfit, which kind of matches her new position as, I guess, the ex-ruler of Limbo. I didn't say X like a pun. It just kind of came out. Forgive it. I know that Vita Ayala and Rod Rice are taking a break, I think, for 2 or 3 issues. Hopefully it doesn't affect the series too much, but let's see. Chasm is the main bad guy in the coming run, so definitely grab that Gleason cover if you've ever seen it. I do have it, actually. I just haven't been following up too much on Spider-Man. You know what it is? I tend to hit the wall with characters. It's happened to me with Spider-Man, and it's happened to me with Batman, where I feel like, okay, I've read pretty much all I can read of them. Almost kind of lost my appetite for it. I know that the new Batman run has been very, very good, and people have been telling me Chip Zdarsky is doing some great stuff. I do have the acetate cover to read, but if anything, I'm going to probably just read it digitally online. I do read Marvel Unlimited a lot for me, the main books that I don't collect, but I haven't dipped my toe into the DC online service. I'm kind of waiting to see if Warner Brothers does anything with it, because I feel like they're chopping everything. That's good. I might have to start getting New Mutants, waiting to pick up issue 30 when Escapade Guest starts. Okay. I jumped onto Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 6 2 weeks ago, but I haven't read it since I was a kid. The artwork and action panels are so good. Well, good. I mean, I'm happy that people are liking these things. Yeah, main event, I'm loving New Mutants. I would say if you pick it up from just after X of Swords to the current, that Ten of Swords rather, that seems to be like the bulk of when the great stuff came out. But you can also read them all online too. And yes, the Chip run I will hype over and over again. It's incredible, man. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. At least just that first issue. But like I said, the others I'll probably just read online. Next, this is one that I've talked about. I haven't enjoyed, and this was kind of like the last-ditch effort for this title, at least in my book. Marauders number 5. This is very tough. Need to look better to look at that shirt. Okay, hold on a second. I'm showing you the shirt. This is not going to turn into like an OnlyFans or something. Okay, gonna kind of. This is my Batman and Robin shirt here. Okay, yeah. So Marauders number 5. I will say this: I read this book in the bathroom, and I feel like that is the most appropriate place to read this because it's crap.
What?
I'll say this: the artwork is better than it's been. They got rid of that spastic, um, cartoony style. And look, when I say cartoony, it's not like Scotty Young. You know, Scotty Young, as I said a couple minutes ago, not the biggest fan, but like I read The Me You Love in the Dark, and it worked for that. This, if you look into the prior issues of Marauders, was just weird. Um, this one, like I said, the art's not as cartoony. It's a little bit better, but it's not great. And this is a fake out cover, okay? As I said, I picked this last one up because Nemesis is on the cover. I was on live streaming with Matt the other day. Hey, Paul. Yeah, so I picked it up because Nemesis is on the cover. He was one of my favorite of the he was one of my favorite of the Age of Apocalypse people to come over. But they never really used him. And here it's just kind of awkward. So is it toilet paper worthy? I don't know about that main event. I think my toilet paper has a better paper quality right now than this. So it's kind of a fake out because the conclusion to this big space story, somehow, and maybe I just couldn't follow it, the Marauders are shipped into the past. Specifically, right after the Age of Apocalypse. If you've been reading the X-Men a long time, you may remember the Acolytes, when Magneto's mind was shut down, was floating around in a headquarters in the sky called Avalon. And immediately following the Age of Apocalypse, Avalon crashed into the desert. If you haven't read that, it's one of my favorite of the adjectiveless X-Men stories when Cyclops and the Acolytes are just kind of stuck in the desert. It's the book that actually kind of made me respect Cyclops as a character. So this kind of shoots to that particular point in time when Nemesis just kind of crashed into Avalon, causing the whole place to crash. And I mean, it was okay. The Marauders had to fight and, make sure that they weren't changing the timeline or anything like that, but it was useless and it didn't really have any kind of, it didn't have any purpose to it. It was just very kind of strange. Like, let's just throw this in here because we need to fill in something for a 5th issue. And then they kind of, usually I say spoiler free. I'm going to give away spoilers on this just because they're just so strange. Cassandra Nova, who's a part of this team, if you probably don't know her, she was Xavier's evil twin sister who we thought had died in the womb, but she's evil, a very powerful psychic. I mean, she comes fused with a Venom symbiote at one point, and I don't know, maybe I missed something, but I didn't see where she got the symbiote in the past couple issues. Maybe I couldn't tell from the cartoony look or something like that. And it was just strange, and it felt very added on. And again, you had the same underlining issues. All the characters sounded the same. The writer, Steve Orlando, who I know from Green Lantern Corps, not personally, but I know his work from Green Lantern Corps, which was okay back then. I felt like he doesn't have a feel for any of the characters. And when they all talk, they talk similar. They all talk like they're the same person. He can't have more than, excuse me. He seems like he can't have more than 2 or 3 people talking at once. So you'll have some people in the panel, excuse me, that are just silent. In this case, it was Aurora for much of the issue. Sorry. Yes, I'm dying on camera again. So the big kind of thing at the end here, after they resolve this weird time loop story, they do kind of like a very Animal House type of ending where you see maybe 1 or 2 panels or a mention of something that happened to one of the characters. And they're all just very strange. Daken is thanked by the Imperial Guard and gets the Fang armor, from the can't
can't think of their name. Well, from the Imperial Guard, but the way he just kind of takes it, he accepts it, is just kind of strange. Like they tried to make it to some big Wolverine connection when Wolverine took the Fang armor at one point years ago, but it just kind of fell. Psylocke has a strange hookup with Scalp Hunter, who we saw them, two of them in Hellions, and it looked like they were kind of, you know, hanging out, I guess you could say, at the end of Hellions, but this went from 0 to 60, I thought. The Venom symbiote that Cassandra Nova had bonds now with Deathbird. Again, why? And then the last thing that's just very strange and very poorly done, they literally do it like if you're reading the modern X-Men books, they have like these memos and whatnot that describes when it's done great, it's done great. But sometimes it's just letters going back and forth. And this was supposed to be a letter from Bishop to Kitty Pryde, which didn't sound like Bishop talking at all. And I forgot, and again, he's on the cover, but I straight up forget sometimes that Bishop is in this book. He just says that young Cable came from the future with a guest who wanted to meet Kitty Pryde. That's literally like you didn't see young Cable doing it. That's literally all you had. And it turns out on the last page, it's Cerebra from X-Men 2099. Now, my first thought is, of all the X-Men 2099 characters to pick, why did you pick that one? I kind of see what they're doing as far as kind of almost like an Exiles, if you read that series from the early 2000s. There's household duty since my girlfriend is stuck watching football. Take care, Durs. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, I mean, if you read Exiles from the early 2000s, it's that kind of feel where they're going to have rotating people come in and out. X-Men Blue kind of did that over a while as well, where you had different realities come in. You had, I think, Bloodhawk, if I'm not mistaken, from X-Men 2099. He would have been more interesting than Cerebra. And I remember the vampire version of Storm, I think Bloodstorm. But here it just feels a little weird. I'm officially not continuing with Marauders. I've sent the message to my LCS already. Do not put that aside for me any longer. Worst book of the week, hands down, so far. X-Force, number 30. This is a Judgment Day tie-in. Now, I'm not reading Judgment Day. I kind of know the greater beats to it. And my fear was that Judgment Day, just like King in Black, could just derail titles. I felt like Sword, which granted wasn't a great book to begin with, was just totally derailed by King in Black, as an example. But this was actually just okay. You know, I've been enjoying Percy's run on X-Force. Main Event, I know that you had a review of this here too. And it kind of feels like they had to shoe in the story just a little bit. I do like the beginning. Wolverine kind of reacting against Krakoa for the recent loss of Kid Omega, who I don't believe is dead. I think he's just kind of dissipated. I kind of feel like the Deadpool type of story into it is a little forced. I do like what they're doing with having Kraven hunt the X-Men or hunt mutants, but it was really, this was just kind of like a setting the table, I guess you could say, for future issues. So that's why I say this one was just okay in my book. Okay, next, it's another Judgment Day tie-in. This is X-Men number 13. And again, this kind of hit my fears with Judgment Day kind of derailing things, because I did feel a little bit lost not having read the other Judgment Day tie-ins. I read the free one. That was about it. That being said, I do like how they managed to spotlight the X-Men characters in a greater light. Like Sync is a huge part of this issue, for example. Like I said, it was just okay. I don't feel like it added anything to the X-Men story, but at the same time, I don't feel like it detracted anything. Excuse me. It didn't make me want to, I should say by detracting, didn't make me want to go out and grab Judgment Day or anything like that.
You said you had to read the others in order to understand it better?
No, but I think that it would just help you do that.
Because I thought you said you don't have to when I was borrowing your comics a long time ago.
Well, you got to give me more examples. Like, this is a big tie-in. It's kind of a big different story. And then I have, this is Immortal X-Men number 5. This is the Art Adams White Queen variant. This is a Judgment Day tie-in as well. They didn't have any of the thing on it. I think because, what's up?
That cover.
Oh, she doesn't like
you
the
gotta
cover.
love that cover.
I have a funny story with White Queen. So, as I've talked about in my 7-minute story in the past, I got actually into comics through the cards. I kind of went in backwards, I guess you could say. And the one of the card series, which I still have my collection of, is the X-Men Series 1 cards, all drawn by Jim Lee. And if you remember, they had a White Queen kind of card by the fire and everything. And yeah, it's pretty much, this is her costume from then. Excuse me. So you go back 20 years or so, probably more. And I was like hauling all my cards in a binder all around. So we go to my grandma's house every Sunday. And my aunt, who, my mom's younger sister, happened to look at him with me. And I remember when she saw the White Queen card, she stopped and she gave my mom a double take, like, "You're letting your kid, what is this?" But cover aside, I don't remember what the regular cover was like, but I preferred this cover, to be honest with you.
You do?
I have to look up what the regular cover was. I have to say, this was, if you're a classic X-Men fan, this was the best read of the week. And I'll tell you why. Anybody who, I shouldn't say anybody, but a lot of people I've seen say, "Oh, I haven't read X-Men books because it's just not my X-Men." Or "I'm so used to the X-Men from the 90s and whatnot." This is a great, great primer on a 90s character who has really never gotten his due.
Is that mainly her story?
It's not her story at all.
Because it looks like from that cover that it's mainly her story.
It's not. So the focus of it, should have seen the Marvel Masterpiece White Queen card. I have that one too. So the focus of the story is on Exodus, who was a character introduced, shocking you like that cover. It's a character introduced during the X-Men's 30th anniversary. I think he was introduced either right before or during Fatal Attractions. And he's always been an interesting character. I think co-created by Joe Quesada, but they've never kind of done anything with. After, oh, hey, Shadow, how are you? White Shadow. White Shadow, by the way, I forgot. I think it was Mark Spector Comics had mentioned him in one of my comments, and I've been checking his stuff out. I love his channel. The guy's got a great positivity and talks about it in a very positive manner. You should check him out. Anyway, where was I? Exodus. Yeah, he kind of made a small impact, I think, during Fatal Attractions. I remember there was a great crossover with the Avengers titles at the time, where he basically tried to kidnap Quicksilver and Crystal's daughter. Quicksilver, at one point, I should tell you, honey, was married to one of the Inhumans, Medusa's younger sister, who we saw for a little bit in that terrible TV show that we've never watched any more of. Yeah. And they have a child.
Okay.
So Exodus, being basically a religious zealot, had tried to kidnap the granddaughter of Magneto. That was the whole tie-in, everything. Mm-hmm. After that point, I don't really remember seeing him again up until post Age of Apocalypse. He appeared in an issue of X-Man. That was a different version of Cable that Sinister helped create, which was a great read at the time. Kind of fizzled out quickly, but where him and Cable, X-Man and Cable, fought against Exodus, who at that point, they started to flesh out a little bit, and he was described as basically a psychic vampire, I remember. And it was described that he's actually a knight from the time of the Crusades who has somehow survived for years and years and years. Exodus has been getting a little bit more play recently following Magneto's departure from the Quiet Council. And if you haven't read that, Hope has taken over Magneto's seat. Exodus reveres Hope as basically the next Messiah. So and she's uncomfortable with that. But you kind of go into a little bit of his history, as a member of the Knights Templar, as this kind of fanatic, and how it goes into not only the current Krakoan X-Men, but also the X-Men's current plight against the Eternals during Judgment Day. Now, the only kind of disappointing part in it is that the main action, I feel like, they don't really show in this book, but it works very, very well. And I encourage you, if you have any interest in the X-Men at all, pick up this book. Maybe not this cover, but pick up this book, as really it does a lot for, I think, a character who needs to be spotlighted more.
Isn't that kind of misleading? Because I thought it was her story.
Well, a lot of variants, to be honest with you, honey, they have nothing to do with the story in the book.
Miss Marvel, you know how they put Miss Marvel's image on it, right? She-Hulk is She-Hulk on it.
Well,
so
I mean, occasionally they'll do things like, I don't know what the focus of that cover was, but I know that, for example, they'll do theme covers. Like for a while they did X-Men Series 1 Jim Lee card covers, where it was just a reprint of X-Men Series 1 cards, but had nothing to do with the story inside. They did that a lot this past year with the Hellfire Gala as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Basically, they like money, and they figure, we'll put this up to get more money.
But that doesn't make any sense. Like, it would be like Daredevil, and you have another character on there, even though it's mainly Daredevil.
It's happened. It does that.
Really?
Yeah. So the last part of my video today, excuse my back. After months, weeks, I find packing peanuts. Trev, you'd be happy. Look, I hate packing peanuts. Honey, can you get me a plastic? Oh, he's sleeping already.
Yeah, I can give you another
bag. Okay, we're gonna get rid of the plastic peanuts. But after months, I guess you could say, weeks of hauling unknown comics and whatnot, we finally got to the bottom of why they hadn't shipped my order from May yet. Yes, Trev, your favorite packing peanuts. And I understand that they're an evil, but I just think in 2022, you don't need them.
Especially if it goes everywhere.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was kind of, I kind of never got an answer as far as why they didn't ship these out. Yeah, thanks, honey. I never got an answer as far as why this was never shipped out. I presume that they ran, I'll get that later. I presume that they ran out of one particular book that had been ordered from here, because they gave me a partial refund of that. I think just like $3.99. But hey, we finally got it. And if you are watching right now, you are in luck, because it's been so long since I got these. I can tell you that one of these, at least one of these, is a duplicate of one that my LCS gave me. So I will, so if you're interested in this one, and I'll tell you which one it is, rather than saying message me after the show, because I do need to get to the shipping store, we're going to do a live giveaway. And I will get these over to you. I'll get them in the mail today. Okay. As I drop everything, I caught it. It's fine. Okay. So again, the Hellfire Gala, not Hellfire Gala, excuse me, Unknown Comics unboxing. So first, and a lot of these, because they do like a buy two, get one free. So I was buying two of something, and this one just seemed interesting to me. First one is X-Men number 12. This is a I'm going to just butcher the name, Ensalado variant, X23. Admittingly, looking at this, I think it looked better on the website than in person, but it's not bad. Okay, and last year I had made it a point to get all of their Unknown Comics Vanity Fair style Hellfire Gala covers. I thought they were really well done. After seeing this one, I thought was okay. X-23's I think is okay. Master, that's a good. Actually, she might be in that issue. I have to go back and read. But yeah, this year I don't feel as strongly about that. But this one was, I thought, an okay cover. This was the Hellfire Gala Gambit Unknown Comics cover. I have one more of these Vanity Fair-esque type covers coming. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not getting the Captain America cover, and I'm not getting the Spider-Man cover. I just thought they weren't that good. This is also a Hellfire Gala variant, and no, she's not in this issue either, I believe. And I'll say this too, if you're unfamiliar, if I get a variant, even if I don't usually follow the book, I will read it because you never know. This was Black Panther #7, Hellfire Gala edition. And I think that's actually supposed to be, let me see, because she's changed her name a couple times. I think it's back to Boom Boom. It could be Boomer. Either way, it's a terrible name, and yeah, she's a somewhat interesting character. So, yeah, she's probably not in that either. This was the conclusion to the, as I said, I've been waiting a while for these, but this is a conclusion to the What If Miles Morales series. Interested to see how that tied up. I was a big fan of What Ifs. The Miles Morales ones have been very uneven at best. Okay, I'm just kind of sorting these so they make a little sense here. Next is a Peach Momoko cover of Jane Foster, The Mighty Thor, #2. The first one surprised me, and I really liked the variant on that one, so we'll give this one a shot. That's Valkyrie on a Pegasus. Another Peach Momoko, and this is a series actually somebody in Brian's chat talked about this morning. I read one other issue of the series, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm interested to see how this one is. And this is a Peach Momoko variant of Ghost Rider #4. Very cool cover. And Ghost Rider is in this book, from what I understand. Okay. This one, Madam, you're going to like. By the way, I haven't watched Master and Madam's latest video yet, the one that just came out yesterday, but I do want to say very happy anniversary. My wife also says happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I'm trying to put together an A-OK, and I was actually going to get one of these for Madam, and I just haven't yet, and I'm glad I didn't because it looks like from the little thumbnail she may have gotten this already. Hellfire Gala, this is the Scarlet Witch variant. And I didn't go with the Virgin, I just went with the Vanity Fair cover. I thought that one was hands down the best of this year's covers. And I will show you, I do have 2 copies of Sabretooth #5. I don't know the artist for this variant, but I really dug the Japanese style. Very cool. We've been married for 5 years. Just celebrated our 5th anniversary this past May, 2 days before my birthday.
Yeah.
And then this is the Peach Momoko Sabretooth one. Very cool. And I've already read Sabretooth #5, so this is one, yes, I just bought for the cover. Now I have 3 Hellfire Gala variants here. This first one, I think this is a variant. I'm not quite sure who the artist is off the top of my head, but it's a pretty decent cover. And I think all of these characters appear in it. I'll say this, and I've said it in the past, I wasn't impressed with this year's Hellfire Gala. I did like the last one. But this one, story-wise, it kind of fell flat. So you have a lot of the secondary characters. I see Gorgon, I see M, I see Avalanche, I see Armor, Siren. A few good characters here. Definitely cool style. Here is the Art Germ Hellfire Gala. Cool. I didn't get the Virgin either. We'll see if it passed the wife test.
Something's happening.
Oh, that's on our screen. What do you think of this cover?
I like it. It's nice.
Yeah, so that's Archer. And this is the last of the Hellfire Gala variants I have. And again, my LCS gave me this one already. So this one I'm going to be giving away. If you like this, comment, and we're going to pick somebody. So this is, I don't know who the artist is, but I thought this was a pretty cool cover. I still like it a lot. Very kind of cool basic style. Dragotta is the artist. So if you are interested in this cover, let's see this. The first one who messages that they want this right now in the chat while I'm staring at it, and I'll just stare at my phone like this. They get it. It's not creepy at all. Nice cover. Main event. Do you want it? He says nice cover, but did he say he wanted it yet? We're waiting. I know there's a delay, so. Okay. You're going to be saving me a lot of time if you want this cover, because I have to run to the store by 1 o'clock to get these mailed out to you. So it's just an hour. Okay. No, I'm good, but thanks. All right, we'll do this. The first person to message me, we need Jeopardy music. We can't, because then YouTube will take it down. But the first person to message me within the hour will get this as the giveaway today. If not, we will have to push it to next week, or I'll have to sneak it into somebody else's stuff that I'm giving away. But that is the end of my show for today. Just at about an hour, a little under an hour. Not bad. We had a lot of smattering of stuff. If you're in the New Jersey area, I'm going to be checking out Doug and Delia's signing at Dewey's Comics in Dover next week. I think it's from noon to 3, they said. So if you see me there, say hello. If I don't recognize you, remember, it's because I can only see my own face on here. With that being said, go out and enjoy this beautiful weekend. I hope that you enjoy your Labor Day, and if you have off or whatnot. Great show. Thank you, Trav. Thanks, Brian. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Peace, love, and comics. Take care.